Alright, this is another project I have going on. This is a 1972 Harley Davidson XLH, and I picked this up in Roanoke, Virginia, and the guy bought it from somebody who had wrecked it. And turned out that because these bikes didn't have very good brakes, he actually, instead of running into somebody in front of him, he swerved over and hit a curb and bent the forks. So, and bent the rim, damaged the rim. So, I'm in the process of working on that. But since I've already got a 1972 Sportster, and I have a 1970 Sportster, and both of them are boat tails. I thought one of my other cool bikes would need to have would be the 1969-70 then came Bronson bike, and so this is what I'm going to transform this bike into. Now, I can't believe I didn't take a video of it. I've totally gutted the wiring because the wiring was a bunch of crap. But anyway, this bike did start. It runs really good, and unfortunately I don't have the video of that, so I guess I'm going to have to work on, when I get a little further along with it in wiring, I'll take a video of it running. But I've been working on getting parts. Now, the forks, ironically, the forks I got from for the 72 FX Super Glide I'm working on, the fork kit I bought for that, I mean, they were okay, but I found other fork tubes for that bike, and these are the fork tubes that I have left over from the actually I bought a Sportster front end for like $200, and so these are the fork tubes for that, and the lower fork tubes are from this bike. And I found this, I bought this Bob fender. Ironically, it's like a 1969 Sportster Bob fender, and the guy wanted $30 for it. It's perfect. It's perfect for the then came Bronson bike. And what I had to do is I had to, because the 69s and 68 lower fork tubes, they had little ears coming out, and I really didn't want to do that. To weld an ear tab on there, because these are really good condition fork tubes. I mean, they're in really good shape. So what I did, I found these 1.5-inch tube for, these are designed basically clamping on for pedals or fork pegs on your frame. But anyway, I had to relieve it for that, but that worked out perfectly. Now I did have to shorten these a little bit to make them correct. But that worked out perfect for what I'm trying to do here. The other thing with the then came Bronson bike, they changed out the original bike that was on the visor. The visor came out to here, and then they put a regular Bates headlight on there, and they had a chrome frame. Which I found on eBay. I found this piece, and I found the headlight bucket for like $25, brand new. But I didn't see where they would have on the then came Bronson bike. I didn't realize it, but I don't know how they knew if they had the generator worked or whether or not that the oil pressure was good. I don't know if they had lights up in the headlight or not. So I took a visor I had, and it was really in bad shape, so I cut it down. And converted it into, so it still has the generator and oil pressure light separately from the headlight. Now the gauge cluster, it was in really bad shape, so I've got a new gauge cluster, or new used, and it has on the top, it does have the provision for the high beam. Now these are Sportster handlebars, they're the buckhorns, and Bronson's bike handlebars were a little straighter, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. The brake handle and the clutch handle, they were all boogered up, and so that's but it did go into gear, everything works, and it's actually got the original Italian I thought they were Boris rims, but anyway, it's got the aluminum rim, and it looks like it's got chrome or nickel or stainless steel spokes, so those will that'll clean up like brand new. The shocks are not in bad shape. They were probably original to the bike. They look like they've been replaced at one time. I'm custom making the sissy bar. You can see there. Let me get back so you can see that. Sorry, I'm looking at the bike instead of looking at what the camera's doing. And then I found this. Guy had this for like $40 locally. It is actually pretty close to an original banana seat, and but it's, you know, it's showing its wear in areas, and I mean I mean it's somewhat pliable. So anyhow, but I found another one. It's a brand new, and it's custom styling, pretty close to this. Found a brand new one for $49 or $29 plus shipping. So I got that coming. Can't believe it. And then unfortunately I had to take the rear fender. The fender that came with this was a piece of crap. It was let me show you over here. I have to come around over here. Had an old Corbin seat, fiberglass, and it had this chopped bob. This fender should come down to here somewhere, and so this is totally incorrect. The tail light was incorrect, so I had to take the fender off the 72 I had, and I wasn't using for anything, so I'm actually going to make that the fender for, and that's what I've done. I've made the rear fender, which is an original 1972 to actually 68 to 72 rear fender, and it has to be bobbed. So I've done the bob on it, and then there's a the then came Bronson used a it's a well, let me show you here. I've got a lot of the parts and pieces coming around, so you'll see it here in a minute. But the then came Bronson used a British rear taillight, like off of a Triumph or a BSA or something, and then it had just a stainless steel plate down there. And you can see here on the front fork where, I don't know what this came off of, but these are original fork tubes for a regular 69, and see that it doesn't have the clamp, but I had to move it up a little bit and modify for that clamp. But you can see there the headlight, and I've got the emblem. Chrome tank I'm going to have to work on. The seat looks like, you know, it's going to be, and this actually, the sissy bar was actually off of a Schwinn Stingray bicycle in the day, so that's kind of cool. But I've got that kind of mocked up here just so I know the size, and I'm going to bend it out of just cold roll steel and get it painted. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I paid $1,200 for this thing, and when it's all cleaned up and everything, it's going to be a pretty good representative of then came Bronson bike, and I'm tickled to death to have it because of that. I mean, I have the dual exhaust system for it. I've got a lot of parts for some of the other accessories. Like I said, the front end, I've just ordered the spokes for it. Somebody had them on eBay for $29 plus $10 shipping. I said I'd give you $22 for them. They accepted the offer. I've already got the rim, which I found the rim and tire with hub, and it's an aluminum rim, 19-inch,